Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock on Saturday. You lose track of what day it is. Hope you're all keeping well and keeping safe. My name is Phil. This is the Leicester City Fan Zone show. I'm going to be joined very, very shortly by the one and only Brian Deane, who used to play for Leicester City. Well, back, I believe, played at Filbert Street and also the Walker Stadium, and has got some very famous stats connected with him. But this is your chance to ask Brian whatever questions you want to ask him. I'll get through a few hellos to start with. Good afternoon to Shaun. Hope you're well, Shaun. What question would you like to ask Brian when he comes on very shortly? Andrew is watching. What would you like to ask him, Andrew? Same to you, Matty Bond. Welcome to the show. Josh is watching Sports on YouTube. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, the Facebook group, and Twitter and Periscope. So welcome to you on all those channels. Good afternoon to Tom. Hope you're well, keeping safe as that baby come yet, Tom. Get your questions in, Tom, to Brian Deane. Let us know what you'd like to ask him about his time at Leicester City. So this is your Fan Zone show. Get your views in, get your comments in. So yes, welcome to the show. Brian Deane is going to be here very shortly. Now let's bring Jamie, the very only Jamie from the Fox's Arms in. Jamie, how are you?
Afternoon all. How the devil are we?
Good.
Can I just start by saying something? Does everyone know what day it is today? What April the 18th means in Leicester's career?
Go on then.
This shirt should tell everyone. 11 years ago today, we got promoted from League One in 2009. That's the best way to start this show. What a stat that is.
So in 11 years, we've gone from League One, as we all know, right up to the heady heights of winning the Premier League title, Jamie.
We certainly have, pal. We certainly have.
Anyway, Jamie, get introducing Brian Deane. Tell us all about him.
Right. Brian Deane, big striker. We signed him from Middlesbrough in November of 2001 for £250,000, which wasn't a lot really back then. He played 56 games for us and he scored 19 goals. He was here for just over 2 years. And he actually scored the first goal at the Walker Stadium / King Power, whatever you want to call it. And he got a 2 against Watford. He had stints in Portugal and Australia. And also his big claim to fame is he scored the first ever goal in the Premiership. I think 92, I think it was 28 years ago that was, Phil. That's a long time ago.
Wow. So lots and lots of interesting things we can talk to Brian about. But like we always say, get your views in, get your comments in. We'll ask Brian exactly what you want to do. But here he is. Let's welcome Brian Deane to Leicester Fan TV. Hi, Brian.
How you doing? How you doing, guys? All right?
Hi, Brian. How are you? Are you good?
Cool. Yeah, good.
Brian, so thanks so much for joining us today. Let's start off with, obviously, we're going to dip backwards and forwards in time, but you were the first goal scored at what was the Walker Stadium, is now the King Power Stadium. We talked to Matt Piper just a few days ago about him scoring the last goal at Filbert Street. I think that's a massive claim to fame, really, to score the first goal at the Walker Stadium.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Jordan Stewart will beg to differ because he scored in a meaningless friendly. But yeah, the first goals that actually meant something to the club in terms of points, yeah, that was me. And it was a fantastic day, to be honest. It was such a stressful time for the squad because, as everybody knows, the club, the NTL deal had gone south, and we just didn't know what was going on. The stadium was magnificent, and as we're gearing up for that day, everything was just up in the air. So wow, who lives on Silverstone?
That's me. That's me.
Yeah. Yeah. So going into the game, we knew the importance of the whole thing, but we were determined not to let anything spoil that season for us.
Do you remember much about the game and the goal itself? Brian?
Yeah, I scored twice. I can't remember which goal was which.
I think the first one was a header by it. Oh,
I should have done my.
The first one was.
I should have done my homework.
Was from Nicky Summerby's cross. I think it was from a Nicky Summerby cross. The first one.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear us, Brian?
Hello.
Can you hear us?
We see, Brian. It seems like you can't hear us, Brian.
Can you hear us?
I'm going to let Brian. I know you can't hear us, but it sounds like you just dropped out there. We lost you, and then you might need to log back in. So I'm just going to take Brian out and see if he can click back on the link. Jamie, can you message Brian briefly and ask him to do that? Is that possible? While I just get some of the fans' comments on screen.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
Ross says, question for Brian, what was the best club he ever played for? Andrew says, did the financial state of Leicester filter down into the dressing room? Were the players concerned in any way? Matthew is saying it was really tricky times. So keep getting your questions come in. John Sinky, hi Sinky, thanks for watching, is saying his first goal at Leicester was a header. Log back in, Tino says, great. Yeah, we're Jamie is working frantically in the background, aren't you, Jamie, to sort this out?
I'm trying to.
So I'm sure Brian will join us very shortly. Bill Wright is saying, nice to see you, Brian. Aggie is saying, scored the first Premier League goal in history. Yes. Now here is Brian. Are you back with us?
I'm back. Sorry, guys.
He's back.
Hey.
That's what it was.
Don't do that to us.
Live TV, isn't it?
You can't beat it.
Guys.
Social distancing is his best.
All of that. Yeah.
Brian, I was going to say, one of the fans has just asked you, with that financial crisis that was going on at Leicester, did it at the time, did it filter down into the dressing rooms? Was it a big concern, or were you just, or how was it?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it was huge because we were being asked to take deferrals. We were being told that the club might go into liquidation if we didn't. But we also looked at it and we thought, look, all the issues have come about because we're out of the top tier now. And we knew as a collective group that a lot of it was on our shoulders. We had a mature squad and we felt that we could bounce straight back up. And that is one of the best changing rooms I've ever been in. You know, that everybody just pulled together, you know, whether it was, you know, the likes of the older players like myself, Matty, Jerry, Cinco, or whether people like Jordan Stewart, Stephen Oakes, Ian Walker, Muzzy. You know, Muzzy was great because Muzzy had opportunities to go, I think, but he stuck around and it was a special changing room, to be honest. It was very much. I mean, Mickey was a great coach and Corky. The staff were brilliant. But a lot of the things were player led in terms of, there were some big characters in that changing room.
Jamie,
just a bit. Yes, I was going to go back just a couple of years before you signed for us. Well, it might have been a few years before you signed for us. You came to Filbert Street with Sheffield United, and you absolutely ran us ragged with Tony Agana. And I think it was 5-2. And I think did you win the league? Did you win the league that year, or did we runners up? I can't remember. We
were runners up to Leeds. We actually Leeds beat us on goal difference. Believe it or not, we lost 5-0 to West Ham away and lost 4-0 to Leeds away as well. And if we'd have lost those games, but just by the odd goal, we'd have been champions. So it was just great to get up, to be honest.
That was at Filbert Street. Sorry, Jamie. I was going to say, was that the game where Sheffield United had like a luminous green away kit?
Correct.
Was that the year? Because I remember that because there was Sheffield United fans everywhere in that luminous green kit, and they did. Yeah. You lot run us ragged that day.
Did him and Tony Agana? Bloody hell.
There was the fans. The fans came in fancy dress and everything, and it was a real party atmosphere. You speak to a lot of Sheffield United fans, and that's one of the happiest days of their lives, they'll tell you, But yeah, the game itself was, I mean, the goal I scored was ridiculous because it was like head tennis in the in the Leicester goal mouth, and then I managed to get the last touch. But what a day! It was fantastic.
Hey, they all count, no matter which part of the body they come off.
Exactly.
Also, Dave Bassett, you played for Dave Bassett at Sheffield United, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was he one of the reasons you signed for Leicester? Because he was in charge at Leicester when you signed for us. Was he a big influence on your career throughout your early part?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when Leicester, when Steve McLaren came at Middlesbrough, we kind of didn't really get on. Well, not that we didn't get on, but he made it quite clear straight away that I wasn't in his plans. And there was a few clubs coming in for me to try and get me out on loan. I think West Brom was one, for example. But I didn't want to go. I felt like I wanted to stay in the Premier League. And I knew Leicester were struggling at the bottom, but I really felt that it was perhaps a good move, a good opportunity to go and be part of something, be part of a fight. So yeah, Dave was the manager at the time. I'd had some great times with Harry at Sheffield United, and it was a no-brainer for me to come down to Leicester. I could tell as soon as I came down there that I was going to enjoy myself straight just off the M1. So,
oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Also, Gray's just asked a question. Can you see that one, Phil? Can you put it up? Gray Richardson. He says, "What's the best club?" I think you might have actually answered it at the minute. What's the best club he's played for, and his best achievement in football?
Oh God, it's difficult because it depends how you quantify achievements. Best club, again, what are you actually wanting to achieve? I mean, I played for some big clubs, I played for some small clubs. My time, I think at Sheffield United was, I think that's above everything else because I was a young kid coming into the club at 20 and achieved 2 back-to-back promotions. In the first 2 years, I scored 56 goals to get us to what is now the Premier League as well. So that was just playing for the love of the game. Obviously, I went to Leeds. I had a good career there. At the beginning, it was quite difficult, but once I got the first situation out of the way, and Leeds was my hometown club. Went to Portugal, which I played for the biggest club in Portugal.
Benfica, wasn't it?
Yeah, Benfica.
But not there too long, Brian.
No, I didn't because I was there for a year. The thing was, when I went out there, my plan was to stay abroad for as long as I could. But when after a year, they got an offer from Middlesbrough, and there were a few internal problems at the club at the time, and it was kind of getting in the way of the enjoyment. There was, the president, is a bit of a, I don't know, is it a nefarious character, and he caused a few issues, and I think I'd got to the point where, you're playing in front of 60, 70,000 people every week at home, and those internal problems were seeping into the squad and affecting us. If you don't score within the first 20 minutes when you're playing for Benfica, all the white handkerchiefs come out. And
yeah.
Oh yeah, the old above your head.
Yeah, and all the stuff that was going on off the pitch, the players were being put in a terrible position, and I just thought, if I've had enough of this. When Middlesbrough came in, I was happy to leave. I was unhappy because I was sad. I wanted to stay abroad. I wanted to try and have quite a few years abroad, really, because I could always come back to England. But I just thought, that's it. I need to get back, and I need some structure.
Brian, I've got a question here from Andy Medhurst. He wants to ask you, when you were at Leicester, who did you room with on away days? And I'm going to add to that, have you got any juicy stories you can tell us about away trips?
I think we might know one story, Phil.
Is it? Really?
Yeah.
From Alan Rodgers?
Yeah.
Is it the what? Well, hang on. You can't talk about it on here. Is it when we lost 6-0?
No, no,
we
no.
didn't lose 6-0.
It was a pre-season game over a game of cards.
All right, yeah. Well, my roommate was James Scowcroft, and yeah, I mean, look, the whole incident with the card game was quite sad, really, you know, and I don't think anybody came out of it with any, with any stars and stripes. But again, it was one of those things that we had to deal with in that season where we got where we were now in the Championship. Yeah.
Tough
I can't
times.
talk about it, basically.
Brian, here's another question for you from Neil. He's saying, I bet you've got some tales about Jerry Taggart, but the real question from Bill Wright is...
Jerry.
Jerry.
We used to call him the Kurgan from Lurgan. Great guy.
Bill Wright says, would you like to be playing for a club like Leicester now with the Thai owners and how everything's going?
Oh, without doubt. I think for me, one of the, obviously there's like the top 4 or 5 clubs. But in terms of if I had the choice of a career at one of the clubs now, given everything with the geographical, the manager, everything, I'd say Leicester would be one of the ones that I'd want to play for. You know, you got the new stadium. It's central in the country. I just I've been down there a couple of times. I just like everything about Leicester. I think it's it's a great setup. It's middle of the country, but the football that I've seen played as well is fantastic. Great place. I'm not just saying that because I'm on here now. But
no.
I'm just being honest.
It's best too, though, with all these Leicester fans watching you.
Talking of Leicester fans, we've had another fan join us. Here's Lee Chapman's joined us.
Kurgan from
Chappers.
Lurgan. I love that Kurgan.
Oh, you finished work, have you now?
Yeah. We won't talk about that. That's chaos today. How are you, Deano?
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, all right. I got a question for you. What did you make of Leicester winning the Premier League in 2016? What did you make of that season?
I tell you what, I wish I had $5,000 on it.
We all.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do.
I was managing then. I was out in Norway, and I was managing in the Tipper League at the time, and I'm watching this thing, but you know what? I started, because obviously you start to analyse things, and a lot of the clubs were in transition at the time, and I just. We always say as players, if you can get on a run, if you can get that consistency, and Leicester they just had everything right. I mean, you look at the structure and how it look. Look, this is just me on the outside looking in, and I'm looking, and the plan was brilliant, because what they did was, it seemed like they'd let teams go down, they'd let teams freedom out wide, cross the ball in, and then you've got your big players. You had Wes Morgan, you had Robert Huth, very solid players in that midfield area. And then you're then playing on the counter attack. So you've got Danny Drinkwater getting onto the ball, and he's finding Jamie Vardy. And a lot of it seemed to me that Leicester conceded possession to it was like a bit of a rope-a-dope.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where the teams got lured into false security, and then they just got hit on the break, and it was brilliant to watch. And you know what? It's instead of watching all of these, it's like a procession most years, and it was just really exciting. You had Mahrez on one wing, you had Albrighton on the other. It was great to watch from what I saw.
Brian,
it was for us.
Stephen has asked you a question here, which sort of ties into that, and I'm going to add to it. He says, would you have liked to have played with Jamie Vardy? And then I'm going to turn that into, who was your favourite partner? Because you were from that time where you were part of a 2 a lot of the time up top, which is less common now, which a lot of fans still would like to see 2 up top. But so would you like to have played with Jamie Vardy, and who was your favourite sort of partners that you played with?
I tell you why I'd like to have played with Jamie Vardy, because it's one of them where when you're in a two, sometimes if one's not scoring, then the other one has to be. And if the other one's scoring, then it gives you more situations. You're under less pressure because somebody's scoring. I'd have loved to have played with him, because it might have worked little man, big man. But I saw some stats the other day, and I actually created 41. I had 41 assists. At the top level. So people would look at me. Yeah, people might look at me and say, well, a lot of those were like flick-ons. But no, I used to find myself in wide positions a lot, because that was a lot of my game early on. I like to take people on and run at people. It was only as I got older that, I had to stay more central. But I enjoyed the, I one season I scored 60 goals with Tony Agana. Me and him scored 30 goals each. Yeah. And that was because we complemented each other in a similar way to Jamie Vardy would have done with Tony. So that would work. I played in a 3 with Tony Aboa, and he was a phenomenal striker.
Wow, yeah.
Wow. He was, wasn't it?
Yes. Some sensational goals.
Yeah.
You still see them, don't you? They still play them to this day, those goals.
Yeah.
Oh, that long range one he scored.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played with Alan Boxic at Middlesbrough, who was, again, a frightening player. Played with Nuno Gomes when I was out in Portugal.
Yeah.
Like I say, and also, like you say, I played with Tony, I played with Dickie down at Leicester. So, I've been fortunate to play with some fantastic strikers. And I think, really, it'd be unfair. I mean, I did that 11-1. And I think I didn't even pick myself, because, it's one of them where that's a team that I enjoy playing with, those players, so I found a space for them all. It was nice when Tony Aboa put me in his 1-11 though. So, on a serious note, like, it's there's too many different good things that I had with those guys to say I prefer playing with him or him. Jamie Vardy, I think anybody would want to play with Jamie Vardy. And again, I'm not just saying that his attributes are frightening. If you're playing on that side with somebody with those attributes, it's fantastic for the manager to be able to rely on somebody like that.
I got a good question for you here from Andrew. He's put, what was it like walking out for the very first time in the Premier League? Because obviously the football was changing, wasn't it, at that point? And obviously you got the first goal as well in the Premier League. What was it like to start, a new face of football in a way?
Yeah, a lot was made of it, and everybody remembers all of the adverts on TV, and it's a whole new board game. You had a ball game, and you had all the guys in the jacuzzi, and they picked one player from Leeds too, and all that.
That's Sky for you.
Yeah, we knew there was something different, and that, as you say, at that time, teams relied on the centre forwards to score the goals.
Yes.
So it wasn't like you weren't getting somebody running from midfield scoring 25 goals or whatever. It was, who's your centre forward? It was like when you're at school, and it was like, who's the cock of your school like? You know what I mean? So yeah, and I had a record where I was from the time I went to Sheffield United, I scored on every first day of the season. We also knew that it was probably a good time to be playing Manchester United, so everything was set up for us. It was, and you could see there was different. I think every club had a new shirt, so it just signified a whole new start. It was frightening. It was a great time to be a footballer.
Yeah.
Jamie, go on.
Go on. Andrew's just asked about because you went into management, didn't you, about 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah. And you went to Norway, didn't you? And you were assistant to a big Leicester fan there, weren't you? Ian Birchnell, wasn't it?
No, he was my assistant.
Oh, he was your assistant. Sorry, I got that the wrong way around.
Yeah, he did.
And are you?
Yeah,
that's the one. And are you still in the management game, or are you doing it? And how did it work over in Norway? Because Norway's so different. And why did you go Norway? Was the particular reason you went Norway?
So Norway was, for me, it's like, people talk a lot over here about they want to do this and they want to get into management. And, I'm one of the guys who's been abroad and played abroad. And I felt that if I was ever going to get an opportunity to manage, it would have to be abroad. I know, I'd known Ian for a few years, and he had some connections. I had some connections through a friend of mine, Jan Ager Fjortoft, who was actually
good striker.
Jan as well. Yeah, we played together. So I got in touch with an agent and had a chat with him and said, "Listen, I'd really like an opportunity. If you see any opportunities in management in Norway, can you let me know?" And he came back with this small club called Sarpsborg, who had they just got promoted, and the manager, they decided that they wanted a change, and so I went through the interview, and we spoke about what their values were, what they wanted, and it came round that I fitted the bill, and so myself and Ian came out as my assistant, and we had 2 good years out there. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot about football. Learned a lot about myself as well, because it's only when you go into that hot seat you kind of you're well out of your comfort zone, and it's a sink or swim situation. So I learned a lot about me as a person as well, which has stood me in good stead, I think, for life. If anybody tells, and the other thing is, if anybody tells you that football management is easy, then it's not.
But Brian, didn't you have a little dabble into owning a club as well? I'm sure I've seen somewhere that you owned a club at one point.
Yeah, so I've spent some time out in Kosovo, and but myself and my partner on that, we do some facilitation work. So that if anybody knows anything about Kosovo, it's a small country, had a conflict maybe 20 odd years ago, and but they're looking for inward investment. And one of the connections that I had, there is a company that they specialize in energy solutions. So I spent a lot of time out there making introductions and so on. So they do things like city heating systems for municipalities and things like that. And obviously people know that I played football, and before you know it, you're being introduced to people. We actually went out there with a team, and we wanted to put an infrastructure in place in a club, which is a very good model based on player trading and all the rest of it to generate income. So that's where that was. The problem was, it's not really. I think you can go into things with a futuristic idea, and it worked really well, because it had all the models, where you can. You bring in players. It's a lot of clubs do it, but they don't. When you hear about teams with, somebody's got a club here and they've got a club there, it's about developing your own players and moving them on. And this was built upon that. But it wasn't for everybody over there, and so it's kind of one of those where we've just kind of gone. We're still friends with the people there, but for me, I haven't got that passion to be involved at that level.
Yeah.
I think that for me, in terms of football knowledge, if I'm going to get involved in a project, it has to be able to take advantage of whatever I've learned over the last 30 years.
Yeah. Brian, we've got time for one more question, fans question, which I've got here. Brian, can I ask you, can you tell us which football team you actually support? And then take that into, how do you think the Premier League and the Championship should sort of be finished off this season? What's your views on how it should all end?
Right. So I get asked this a lot, because obviously being from Leeds, but having a significant following from Sheffield.
Yeah.
People always ask me, you know, oh, come on, Brian, who's your favourite team?
Yeah.
I'm like, here we go again. I'll be honest with you, I support all the clubs that I played for.
Yes,
It's as simple as that. You know,
Yeah.
when I was a kid growing up, I never used to go watch games because I was always playing.
Yeah.
You know, so if I was watching teams, it was from the television. And
Yeah.
you know, the only teams that I really supported as a kid was Arsenal in the 70s because they got to 3 cup finals and my brother brought a shirt. And the other one was West Brom because of Civil Regis. And he was like a guy who
big inspiration,
Oh yeah. Cracking player.
Yeah, so I never really, you know, if I see Sheffield United's results, I'm always, you know, if I see Leicester's results, I'm like, yes. Middlesbrough, West Ham, Sunderland, you know, Benfica, you know, they all mean something to me because I've been part of that association, and that's the truth. You know.
So, Brian, you've got some teams there you've played for who are near the tops of the leagues, like Leeds, Sheffield United, obviously in the Premier League, Leicester. Yeah. You've got some teams struggling at West Ham, maybe a little bit. How do you think we should finish off the league this season?
I think realistically, the league has to be finished. That's my view. You have to finish the league because people don't realise the ramifications of not finishing the league. There's sponsorships. There's all of these things where you can come into dispute if somebody's paid all their money up front for a sponsorship deal, and then you know they don't get what they've paid for. Then you know it impacts for the next year and so on and so on. So I think that where we need to get to is we need to get to a point where the season's played. If it has to be played behind closed doors, I know people say it's about the fans, but how are we going to manage that when we're talking about social distancing now? We have to get to a point where we can close down the league, we can finish the league, let the players play behind closed doors. You know, a lot of people don't realise, but this social distancing and will be causing a lot of mental health problems for footballers.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Footballers are like, you know, we're like, it's like gladiators. You know, if I can. What?
Yeah.
That's my phone. Sorry.
Fine.
Yes, I agree.
Jamie, that's not the first time that's happened.
No, it isn't, is it? I'm sure people do it on purpose.
Yeah, it's you know, and they need their release as well. So you know, it's like in Gladiator. If they're not fighting, they're going stir crazy. So the players need to get back out there. I'm sure they want to. You know, so we need to try and, you know, there's a lot of scaremongering going on. I know the finances at the moment are at a very delicately balanced situation, and I think we just need to look very positive. We have to try and look forward and look with a lot of positivity and play this thing through as a team. Everybody has a role to play here.
Well, Brian, I think that's I was going to say, Chappers, I think we need to wrap it up now. But Brian, I think that's a great way to end the show with those views and comments. I think you know, fans don't think about it like that sometimes, but I think most fans just want to get this season finished, even if it's behind closed doors. We'll be able to watch it on TV or stream it, and it'll be a bit, hopefully something to look forward to.
With no fans, obviously.
Yeah.
So let me say, from all the Leicester fans, Brian Deane, it was a pleasure to watch you play for Leicester, and it's been a pleasure to have you on today.
Pleasure. Nice one, guys.
Cheers, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks to Brian. And
another good interview.
That was good. That was
fantastic to have another great Leicester City player on. And he
could talk all day.
I know we could. I feel bad that we have to wrap it up, but we can't take too much of Brian's time. And thanks, Jamie, again for organising this.
Cheers.
You're Mr. Fixer for Leicester Fan TV now.
I'm still working on more to come.
Chappers, he just needs to learn. He needs to learn how to turn his bloody phone off, though.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
I need my phone. To read the comments and get comments on as well.
You're going to start putting fines on.
Put it on silent.
Right. Well, no, I can't do that. Or else I'm missing. Right.
Chris
has asked who's on. We have got we have got a rather big name on Monday night at 7:30 on the Fan Zone show.
Oh.
It is none other than, you're waiting for it, it's none other than old Martin Allen, old Mad Dog himself.
Wow.
The ex-Leicester manager, West Ham.
He's crazy
Just
as
wait
well,
for this. This will be absolutely fantastic, this will. You'll enjoy it.
We'd best brace ourselves for that one.
You've enjoyed it so far. This will be absolute. Some of the stories he's got to tell us are absolutely spot on.
Wow, so we're going to have to really promo that.
We will do.
Yeah.
Monday, Chappers, you're joining us?
100%.
Jamie, you'll be with us.
Oh, Tom, yeah.
Tom will be with us, subject to not having had a second child. So,
well, Mrs. Tom.
Sure, gosh.
Absolutely. So, guys,
he just needs to enjoy the peace and quiet while he can.
Yeah. I'm going to let you guys go while I wrap up the show, okay? Thanks again to Jamie from the Fox's Arms. Chappers,
cheers all.
Been out there working like a trooper as well.
Just people that are watching, I'm doing something tonight, part of YouTube. It's a 24-hour stream via Arsenal Fan TV and the United Stand. They're all involved with YouTube, and we're raising funds for the NHS tonight. It starts from 6 p.m. and finishes at 6 in the morning, and then there's a break, and then it goes back on till 6 at night on Sunday as well. So 24-hour stream. Join in. I'll put the links out all over socials later.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chappers, for that. Good luck with that. 24 hours on YouTube. God knows what people will make of that. Right, I'm going to let
the morning shift.
I'm going to let the guys go. Thanks again, guys. While I finish off, I just need to tell everybody who's been watching, obviously, thanks so much to Jamie and Chappers, that we've got multiple competitions on Leicester Fan TV to keep you entertained at the moment. I'm just going to put them on screen. We've got one which is to you can win a Leicester City Classic shirt. Have a look at this. That's one thing you can win, obviously, over there, thanks to our pals at ADT. We also have a pink shirt, so click over. That's thanks to the guys at Pink Vehicle Leasing. So we've got a green Iron Coupe shirt. We've also got a pink Leicester City Adidas shirt. And finally, from the guys at Everard's, you can go over and win this. Got a mini keg of beer. So 3 prizes there. Go to www, of course, leicesterfantv.com, and all the content is over there on the website as well. So it just leaves me with a final thanks to say thank you to all your comments. Sean is asking how many people are going in the pool tomorrow. Don't forget, Jamie will be live at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Ken White says, well done. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ken, for your kind words. Stelios, how are you? Hope you're well. Says, that was great. Neil says, good show. Thank you very much. Ross is saying get Callum Davidson on as a guest. That would be an interesting one. Andrew is saying, can we get a keeper on? I'll ask to Jamie and see if we can get a keeper on. Stephen Payne says get Richard Smith on. Like that one. That was nice. And Lisa Kev, I was trying to rate, it's just Lisa and Kev, isn't it? Right, says, what a good bloke. That was Brian Deane. Yes, most of all, thanks to Brian Deane, of course, for joining us. Thanks to the sponsors, the guys who keep helping us out. They're all local businesses. You know them by now. Emergency Glazing Services. Bodie Hodges is a charity that we support, so go and follow them. Pink Vehicle Leasing, Everard's and their Tiger Beer, ADT Taxis, Peter's Pizzas, the Fox's Arms, which is Jamie's very own boozer that you can't go in at the moment, obviously, but as soon as the doors are open, go over there. And then you've got Hologram and Harlow Geek Life. So thanks to all those guys, but most of all, thanks to you lot for asking all those questions. We tried to get as many as we could in there, and for joining us on this week's Fan Zone show. If you can like and share this, retweet it, do all those normal bits, that would be great. We'll see Jamie tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and you'll see us at 7:30 on Monday, where we will have Mad Dog. Come join us for that one. God knows what he's going to go on about. See you later.